That was really the plan, was to leave all the equipment home and not take any pictures. And I went up to this cabin, and there is a coffee shop in this cabin that I've been going to for years. And probably 2 or 3 weeks into that summer, I walked into that coffee shop to grab a cup of coffee, and there were 4 farmers sitting in the corner of that coffee shop, dirty, beards, mud all over. I mean, I almost died when I looked across and saw these amazing subjects. And I thought, oh my gosh. And I walked over to them, and they were eating and just had come out of the field or wherever they were working. And I asked one of them if they wouldn't mind if I took their picture. And I remember like yesterday, the guy said, "Why would you want to take a picture of an ugly old guy like me?" He said, "I haven't taken a bath in a week." And I went home, told my wife that I had met these guys and I was going to go to their farm. And she goes, "Well, I thought you were going to take the summer off and not take any pictures and relax." And I said, "But this is different. This is joyful, and I'm excited to do it. There's no deadline, no art directors, no clients over my back telling me what to do. I'm just going to go take my little 35 millimeter camera, the one I happen to have up at the cottage, and just maybe see what happens." And I went over and photographed those guys with no pressure, none. And the pictures were heartfelt. They were genuine. They were real. And I ended up photographing every farmer in the county. I told those 4 guys that I had such a joyful experience. And instead of taking that summer off, I just made appointments at all these different farms in that county and went over, and it kind of reinvented my love for photography. It reminded me why I got into it in the first place. And it was the combination of doing these images on my own terms and being around the sweetest, kindest, most genuinely beautiful people you could ever want to be around. Farmers are the nicest people in the world, right? And there was no plans for these pictures. I had 30 or 40 portraits of these, and I went back to New York and I showed a great art director friend, and she said, "Oh my God, this is like the best work you've done in years. You should do a book." And I said, "You think?" She said, "This would be a great book." So no book agent, no idea how to get there. Just did some research as to who the best book publishers were, or the photographers that I loved, who their publishers were, and made appointments to go in and show the work. So naive when I look back at it. I mean, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that, because it's just not the way you do it. But I was so naive that I got 2 editors at what I believe were great publishers to look at the work, and they both offered me a book deal and said, people love farmers. There hasn't really been a great collection of portraits of farmers. So hit the road and go across the country and let's do this. We need 200 would be a good book. So I hit the road and literally train, plane, automobile, bike, walk, went to every farm that would have me for like a 4-year period. And it was a joyful thing. And so that's how it all started. And like anything else, the book was successful. I think people really, especially the ag community, embraced It was kind of like their Bible that, my hope was that every farm family would have one of those coffee table books on their, in their living room. And so just going back to music again, Kirsten, you cut your first album. If it's well received and sells a lot of records, you're going to get another album. If it bombs, you might not get a second chance. So that's essentially, after that first book came out, that kind of laid the groundwork for the other three.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.